What in your mind allowed this to even infiltrate the church to begin with?
Well, the biggest answer that I can come up with to make the point, and a lot of people may disagree with it, and hopefully, if you put some thought into it, you agree with me. But because we promoted it, we promoted it. We promoted it through how we raised our children. We promoted it through how we allowed what we allowed our children to watch and see, and we made it okay to them. We opened the door for the church to come in and indoctrinate the children. One thing that we have failed to do as Christians, as men, as women, as parents, adults, we have not trained our kids like God tells us to do. We have not trained our kids to watch out for these things. So and we did that because I believe that we was more disciplined to society and culture and the rules. Don't talk to your kids about this. Don't do this. Don't do that. And so we have to relearn that. You know what I'm saying? And when we seen it happening, we never stepped in and stood up. I mean, you should have people getting up and walking out of these churches for doing these things. People say, don't judge. You can't listen. You can see with your own visual eyes when you see a man dance around like a woman in the church choir. That is a funny. Okay, you stop it. And if you see that going on in the church, you leave and you don't be a part of it. You speak against it, and that's it. But what happens is we get this hush mouth mentality because every time somebody say something and that somebody don't like, this is what they say. Oh, you judging. You judging. That's the number. Listen, that is the number one weapon that the enemy has.
You
Is
judging.
for to convince you that because I see something that God told me to hate. And let me say that part again so y'all can make
Louder for the people in the back
yes,
because I think
since
they
y'all
might
like
be
to
hearing.
misquote what I said, and I know I hope some of the people that's watching y'all know who I'm talking about. Um, when we call out something that we discern, not judge, discern, that God told us to hate, you turn around and say, "How dare you judge them? How dare you judge me?" If that's your definition of judging, then why are you judging me? So the problem is we pass judgment by our definition of judgment. The second thing that we did is we idolized our pastors. And when you idolize your pastor, that means you can allow them to get away with anything. Case in point, let's tell you. So if God did something that somebody didn't like, and they say, "Oh man, he shouldn't have did that," my excuse, I can say, "Look, hey man, that's God." We can accept that from God. That was God. He is the ruler. He do what he want. But when you put man on that pedestal to where anything he do is right, then you're idolizing that person. This is the exact reason why God tell us, do not idolize man. Do not have no other gods before me. Okay? So this is what we did. We accepted these people and these pastors and these churches as God. And so whatever they do is acceptable because we idolize them. You get it? Understood. So this is what one of the things that we did, and this is why we're in a situation that we're in now. And now all these things are being exposed, is being laid right out in your face. And then you got people jumping up and saying, "You said this and you said that, and you should," because God wouldn't want you to say that. God wouldn't want you to. You can't talk like that. Then you're going to run off the Christians. How can you run off a Christian from Christianity?
You can
I
run them off
really,
from a building, I guess.
I really want to know that. How can you run a Christian away from Christianity? If listen,
Who
if
you
I
following
got that
again?
kind of power, hey, I don't get that. But yeah, that's the answer
I
to
got
your
something for you to judge right now. You ready to
yeah. Let me.
judge?
Yeah, I'm willing to do that.
I feel a little judgy. You feel a little judgy? I
Yeah,
feel very
absolutely,
judgy. Here you go.
absolutely.
Judge this for me. Judge that for me.
That's what Sissy.
This by the way, this is at church, okay? This is at a building they call a meeting for the church. That's what this is. Okay? You have a man, three of them. And okay. So we're not supposed to look at that and pick it apart for what is wrong with the picture, especially when they present it to the children there that you're supposed to be, like Corey says, raising up. we're supposed to sit in the back and say, "Oh, just accept them. You know, they're looking for love and acceptance, just like sin is always looking for you to accept them." He even told
Exactly.
he told Cain that sin is crouching at your door. The more you allow it, it's waiting for you to screw up to get a hold of you. And here we are saying we can't judge it. We need to shut up, be quiet, and you know, don't talk about people like that. They're just lost. Yeah, they're definitely lost, and you joining them. That is exactly what's happening. Now, Corey, this crossed my mind, even though it was about the whole transgender nonsense. But this is what he brought to my attention. And the word is telling people how to preach. And you probably have seminaries like these people go to get their
Oh,
certificate. Okay. All right. So you
comedy.
have, yeah, you have to learn how to preach. And um, you can't really become a preacher unless you go to some school to become a preacher. And then once those people tell you you're okay to speak, then you can speak. And only what they tell you to speak, you can speak because you have to speak the way they spoke because that's who you got your certificate from.
And that's regulated by who?
Not God.
The government.
Not God.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that 501c3 CPO thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that. And so I came across these guys talking. And do you remember how Jesus spoke in parables? Like all these stories that didn't take place, but he spoke them to give you an example of how something takes root in your life or how things happen and a story, okay? Their concept is that you have to tell a story in their mind in order to market your the gospel. You have to market the gospel to your congregation because people have to be sold on what you're talking about.